Hi everyone, my name is Blake Brewer, and today we are going to be looking at the government's role in ethics auditing and facial recognition with regards to this. We've all had experiences with facial recognition, whether we know it or not, and I thought it would be something interesting to look at. So today we're going to start off by looking at what facial recognition is. Facial recognition technology started in about the 1960s, and much of that work went unpublished. It was sourced by intelligence agencies that are unknown, and basically they started using computers to see if they could identify human faces and use them to identify people from videos and still images. Today it's used widely by governments, private companies, even our devices are capable of doing this. They do this using a still image or a single frame from a video, and they use facial structures, shapes, and textures. There's even new technologies that use just the texture of your face, whether that be wrinkles, spots, things like that, that can now recognize you from an image to your actual previously recorded image. Many organizations prefer this method because it is contactless, so you don't have to use retinal scans or anything like that, fingerprints. You can actually just take a picture and recognize somebody directly from that. Everything is really using it these days, so our smartphones are capable of doing it. That's how they open up with the lock screen now. Law enforcement is using this to find missing persons, for criminal detection, for retail theft, things like that, but then also using devices for identifying criminals when they're pulled over and things like that. Facebook is also using this so that they can actually scan and figure out who is in videos. And casinos, which I'm actually in the MGM Grand right now, and facial recognition technology is used widely to identify cheaters, underage gamblers, things like that. Casinos using the facial recognition is really widespread, and it's becoming more thorough so that they can prevent losing money, and especially for the underage gambling now. It's been very exaggerated in the movies over time. We've all seen movies where they use the facial recognition to identify somebody immediately the moment they step in, and those technologies from before that were shown in movies are now starting to come to fruition and be used by the casinos to identify exactly who these people are, and either apprehend them or get them out as quickly as possible. So in the news recently, ICE, the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, is using facial recognition technology to scan through databases to identify undocumented workers and undocumented immigrants from vast databases of IDs that have been issued from different states that do provide those to undocumented immigrants. It's brought up a lot of concerns throughout many of the privacy advocate groups, because they're all seeing this as an invasion of privacy. Nobody was notified prior to getting their IDs that they would actually be used, and they're essentially handing over their face to those who are trying to find and deport them. And this has brought up quite a few ethical issues in a little bit of a gray area as to whether or not this should be used by governmental agencies to apprehend people or to find people, and to whether or not we all want to be in a database. It's brought on much of a big brother look, and many people are wondering, at what point does this stop? Some governments have started to step in. San Francisco just recently banned the use of facial recognition technology by certain departments, including law enforcement. And this is a form of ethics auditing on their part, showing that they are recognizing that there was a new technology out and seeing that there's something that needs to be done now. So it's actually a little bit of an after the fact, retroactive move by their government's part, but they're showing that they need to be taking a look at these things and reevaluating where the government should stand within regards to an individual's privacy and their use within facial recognition. There are a lot of people saying that no, the government shouldn't just outright ban these things, which is interesting because they're saying that there should be some regulation, but this technology, which is an incredible new technology, being able to recognize somebody's facial structure and shape and identify them within a crowd immediately through a database of archived images. It's an incredible technology, but at what point do we want to prevent the ability to be known where we are all the time is really what it comes down to. What kind of privacy do we want? So I've outlined a few questions that we can discuss within this. Should the government perform ethics auditing more regularly with regards to things like new technologies like facial recognition? And should they, obviously they should be more proactive about these kinds of things, but in their instance, they almost must be retroactive because companies, private corporations are going to come out with new technologies much faster than the government can act. So is this a good form of ethics auditing on the government's part? Do you believe that the government has the right to affect change when it comes to the facial recognition use? Should other governments follow San Francisco? Some have started to implement new regulations so that these technologies are more regulated. So should other companies follow San Francisco? And do you believe that companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft should be working with the government to provide such technologies for facial recognition? And then lastly, is facial recognition a violation of personal privacy? Because private companies allow people to come into their areas, but at what point is that a violation of your privacy? And that's all I have for you. Thank you.